Hello and welcome to IMP's AEW Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review, give a donation directly through Red Circle, and become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. A link is in the description. Order merch from all our shows over at chopped-teeth.com. Thank you to Dickie. Read the Social Suplex newsletter. Shout out to Trish and Tim as always, and to every person who's contributed so far. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network: One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Tristan Sarah, Tunnel Talk, and Sam Brown's AEW Match Guide. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the AEW week that was. 30 minutes of realising, shit, has it been 6 years? No, it's not been 6 years. My sudden realisation of, oh god, I started watching New Japan 11 years ago. Oh no, that was a long time ago. Oh no. Now when I say, oh yeah, I started watching Kenny Omega when he joined New Japan and he joined the Bullet Club doing all that stuff. Me saying that now makes me old. When it makes me feel old. That means I've been watching Kenny Omega for a decade. Oh no. No, I haven't. But yes, what's great for AEW, what's great for the wrestling industry is just a reminder of the fragility of life. It's like, oh god, it's been 6 years. But instead of wallowing in that fact, AEW was celebrating 6 years alive from Hollywood, in brackets, Florida. A wee celebration night with videos of things, what did happen over the years. There weren't too many. Basically, they had the odd character say something. But aside from that, it was one big video package rather than what I'd be used to with WWE, where the entire show would become a whole looking back type of thing. Whilst this was, no, it's going to be like every single week, where it's more about the wrestling itself and all these characters and stories we've got going. And then we'll play one big video package reflecting back. And with that focus came quite possibly the quickest feeling first hour I've seen since making this switch over. Like, quite seriously. The wrestling they put on in that first hour, it went by. Absolutely flew by. So unsurprisingly, I'm going to be very positive about AEW Dynamite this week. Didn't even realise it was a longer episode. I just got so into it. I was just like, oh damn. No, I'm just generally really enjoying this show. Didn't even occur to me that it was a 2.5 hour broadcast. And get into it, we will immediately shall with Josh Alexander and the Broke Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Brodido. What a damn fun way to kick off the show. So let's play a sound clip first and let's get into it from Hollywood, Florida.
Brodido, that 21 plays Brody King, the tope. They've singled out Alexander here. No, block. Center of the ring, one, wing it, Angel, 1, 2, 3.
An earlier today video showed Nick losing all their money at a local Floridian casino whilst Matt was away making some important calls. Hilarious cut to the already in the ring after all their plans for their grand entrance with gators and all ended with them having literally no money for any kind of entrance. I also really like the kayfabe that this establishes, that all the fancy pyro and entrances thing and stuff and the way that the wrestlers get presented as they come out. Yeah, they pay for that. That's off of their backs. They're paying that because they think they look cool doing like that, or they give the right emotion off or whatever, which for me then feeds into Orange Cassidy's entrance so much better. If you use the logic here, the Young Bucks paying for their own entrance and then they lose all their money so they can't do an entrance. Orange Cassidy is paying for that entrance, but he still can't be bothered. He had a reaction on Collision where the video didn't play again, and it's the error message, and he just turns around like, come on, what? Come on. The Orange is not the right file format. I love the establishing of the kayfabe. All these wrestlers pay for their own entrances. Don Callis on commentary to call Kenny not tough like a real Canadian. But not long later, the man was doing the Macarena with Bandido, so I think he was alright. Big woofing chants for Brody to join in too, but boo! Alexander ruined the fun. Pro wrestling is inherently silly. They suckered the crowd back into the wrestling though. A huge pop for Brody going to slam his smaller tag partner onto the opposition, only to switch it and have Bandido play the big strong boy. The baddies got to run hot into the ad break, stopping Omega's dive to let Nick do a series of his own. When we got back, every lad got his moment to shine. Even Don Callis got his spotlight as he fled from Kenny at rapid speed. An awesome sequence with the baddies on form, but ended with all of them lifted up to take a trio of pile drivers. Omega was the one to take the focus of the villainous offense, which makes sense given Callis' set determination to end the man's career. But that cost him with Brodido being tag champions for a reason. No tag victory to help the Bucks this week. Brodido and Kenny Omega working like fire for the finish. Brody tope, Bandido 21-20 plex, and a one-winged angel all to Josh Alexander for the win. A fun trios match to kick off the show. The Bucks just get these trios matches, they just get them. They've always understood them. It was a title scene which made sense when you know you're going to have the Elite, and at the time we also had Death Triangle, and we also had the House of Black. Like, it made sense when you got those three established trios teams. Long term, not quite as not quite as taken. I think we're in a decent place for the moment on the Ops, but I wouldn't say I'm like jumping for joy whenever I see, it's like, oh yeah, the Ops defending the trios titles. Oh yeah. It feels like the titles are in an okay position. They're not on a team that isn't being featured or isn't relevant. They're not in that position like they have been in the past. The titles are relevant, but I wouldn't say they feel like, oh yeah, I'm excited to see these titles. But they're establishing trios teams again, and reminding us how fun these trios matches are. But reminding us of past eras and teams. The Jurassic Express. We got a wee tease between Kenny and the Bucks. Kenny just being like, well, look at you. Like, what are you? This is like a 6-year celebration. Look where you are 6 years later. But Alexander was there as the Don Callis man to beat up Omega. The Bucks weren't joining in. That's when Jurassic Express's music hit. Arms waving and whoa. For our first taste of the lads back together again. Nice note with Kenny just not immediately accepting Perry's help after everything the guy did in the past. Like, I don't know if it was the last segment they were involved together, but Jack Perry did punch him in the diverticulitis. He did punch him right in the stomach. Instead, Jurassic Express brawled with the Young Bucks to leave Kenny alone in the ring to wax on about 6 years of AEW, talking about taking pride in the journey in spite of the highs and lows. Just a true babyface thanking all the fans. He does his trademark good night bang, and the lights go out, and it's Andrade. El Idolo returned with an immediate big first program, and into the Don Callis family, and I do a big yes. Because I've been saying, just lean into it. He can sing all the praises about how he's got the biggest, and by that he means most numerous, stable in wrestling. Just lean into it, and for me it's just working. Honestly impressive that gimmick is still working as well as it is. That there is no such thing as too many men for Don Callis. On this episode, this wasn't the last one. We've got more. And each time I'm like, yes, keep going, keep adding more boys, keep going for it. Unfortunately for me, I did have this return spoiled. I had to go into Blue Sky to check a message, and bam, 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 I completely forgot. Oh yeah, back in the day when I used to get a message on Twitter, I would be able to I followed other things. It wasn't like just wrestling. Whilst my Blue Sky feed, right in there with my other stuff, I will just get wrestling, and it's going to be AEW. And I was just sat there being like, god damn it, a huge spoiler just seeing Andrade there. I didn't have any context, but yeah, I'm absolutely fine with Andrade fitting in this way. It appears he left AEW on good terms, especially like if my biggest tell is how they booked him on his way out, and they booked him as they booked him relatively strong on his way out. Compare that to Ricky Starks, compare that to Penta, to Ray Phoenix, to guys that they just stopped booking. Malachi Black didn't get a huge big send off to that level either, but Andrade was kind of just booked constantly in that certain state. It was coming out of the tournament, so he was just doing a tournament and left relatively strong, but for me that screamed left on good terms. And see him coming in this manner, he's come into a big program with Kenny Omega, but more importantly, he's come into a big stable with numerous boys, and I'm absolutely fine with that. If he'd come back in and just immediately started tag teaming with Root again, I would have just been just pretty apathetic towards it. And I was at the Nottingham Forest game in their first Europa thing this week, so I know all about apathy this week. And all about apathy. And when I watched Andrade, it certainly wasn't that. It was like, you know what, I am in on this idea, put him in the Don Callis family, immediately shove him into a feud with Kenny Omega, but also he's representing Don Callis, and also he's not the big picture, he's just another guy Don Callis can use. Yes, for me it works absolutely perfectly. This did also mean that we got to see Taz dancing to Andrade's music as Excalibur was sat next to him doing his job and hyping the anniversary video. I'm assuming maybe some people might have missed Taz's dance because they're focusing on Excalibur, who's the focus of the camera, the man who's talking. But Taz was dancing to Andrade's music the entire time. It was just, Taz, never change. Only a couple of backstage bits this week. As I said, the show overall flowed really well. The first hour absolutely flew by. And the best way to do that is to just have some good old wrestling. Good old wrestling. None of these wrestler comes out, go to commercial break, then run a backstage segment, and run a hype video, then run something else, and then you go back to the wrestler in the ring to do the match that you've hyped up before the ad break. Like, no, none of that shit. None of that. Folk come out, you have a match, and it's quite long. It's like, yes, you gave them all the time to lean into it. The longer run time is obviously what kind of helped with that. But also, there's not that many backstage bits on this Dynamite show. Collision, full of them. But here on Dynamite, it's not really that many, and what there wasn't long. So we had Mark Briscoe backstage in a professionally lit hallway. The past 6 months of his life have been all about MJF, and he wants to wish a lovely, happy anniversary. And now he won at All Out. He sent MJF on a little sabbatical. He doesn't have his TNT shot because of Max. Hologram missed his because of Fletcher, but tonight was Orange Cassidy's shot, and we'll get to that after. Renee Paquette had a wee interview with TBS champion Mercedes Moné, dressed and hair dyed in the colours of her championship. Next week on Untitled Tuesday with the show in Jacksonville. She wants to wrestle her last from Florida. She's also got a tag match, turning down Hardy Cameron and Minnie Monet. We all know she'll give in. Right, she'll give in. Everyone needs a tag partner. Chris Statlander, she's champion, so Hardy Cameron, she might need a different kind of partner. Speaking of champions, the TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher versus Orange Cassidy. All the screen wipes over Cassidy's media not found Adobe Premiere error message. I don't remember seeing them last week. Last week it was the start of the Orange Cassidy, get the pop, and then media offline, media not found. I like the idea this week that he tried to fix it, and it's still got the error message, but it's got all the transitions. It's got the star wipe, it's got the page turn, it's got the zoom in, it's got all of the transitions, but it just transitions to more media offline, or media not found. I do like the idea that Orange Cassidy, each week he's adding more to it, but he's not actually fixed the problem. It's trying to make the biggest splash possible out of media not found. This match just a hilarious visual clash with Orange in his trainers and jeans and Kyle in the hottest of bright hot pinks that almost burns the eyes. In their styles as well, such a great pure clash with the try-hard champion out to prove himself every night. And then there's Cassidy, who does try. Top tier ad break leading to with Fletcher heating it up, hugging Don Callis with the manager, patting the Aussie man's butt. Do I need to add Don Callis to my internal list of good AEW dads? Alongside Papa Mox and Jerry Lynn. Fletcher successfully managed to get Cassidy amped and giving effort after the ad break. Those cheeky kicks to mock him instead ignited the man, and suddenly we had a wrestling match on our hands. Hell of a lot of DDTs as the champion failed to read Orange's counter over and over. That's 3 DDTs in a row, and 2 of them spiked, echoed Danielson accurately. Past 15 minutes and the Justin Roberts time call. Narrow escapes from both lads before Kyle's high kicks said hello. This is awesome as the Aussie set up the top rope brainbuster to no avail, but Callis up on the apron removed his shoe when hologram, but he's got red shoes on. Yanked Cassidy's feet to stick him on that top turnbuckle. That awesome top rope brainbuster for the win. Post-match stompings with conglomeration confused. The red trousers, the red H. Off came the mask and to reveal Evil Graham. I think he's called El Clone. He's not called Evil Graham, unfortunately. Proper wrestle bollocks with the flickering lights and hacker sound glitches over Kyle's music as the entire Don Callis family stood up on the stage to show off just how ludicrously large the stable's becoming, and I'm all here for it. It really reminded me and my brother have done some work and stuff in the stand-up comedy business over here in the UK. We got free tickets from a support act for Stuart Francis one time, and he was doing a bit where he would play the Barbra Streisand song, "Oh woo woo woo," to not get copyrighted. But the whole point was he'd do a joke and then that song would play. But the volume, whenever that song played, was so loud compared to every other sound there that you began to get scared of the joke every time it happened. That you were dreading the Barbra Streisand song playing because you knew it was going to make you jump every single time because it was too loud. So instead of laughing, we were just like, oh, which I found very funny. So yeah, the hologram noises, they're played too loud over everything else, so they just reminded me of that. Instead of a crowd laughing and having fun, you've made them scared. They don't want the loud sound to suddenly play. Before the main event, Don Callis was interviewed by ATAL about all the extra lads in his family. Tonight they took out Kenny Omega, but Bandido escaped, so he issued a challenge for him to face Okada and Takeshita in a tag match next week. Nom nom nom. I like the idea as well that Don Callis is just talking about how great his stable is, how numerous it is, but he cannot see just how bad the relationship between Okada and Takeshita has become. So for him, he's like, these are my 2 best guys, so obviously I'm going to put them in a match together. Completely blind to the fact that they are not on the same page at all. But who are on the same page? The Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli and Daniel Garcia. They face Hangman Page, Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. A good old 6-man in the middle of the show after a good old 6-man to start the show. The AEW champion was filling in for Shibata to deliver some justice to the amok-running Death Riders. The match itself, for me, a fun enough match. I feel like everybody else has echoed, I really liked the story that they were telling in there with Hangman Page and Samoa Joe. How Hangman Page just in the moment got really amped up to get revenge and it's like, no, I want to get in there and just beat them up because they just pissed me off right now. He's all hyped, he's all there, and he takes the tag when Samoa Joe had been waiting for it patiently. He gets in there, he runs that hype, so Joe's already been disrespected. Then we get to what happens after the match, where Joe took offence to Hangman for not properly handing over the trio's title, as Hangman's just still in that hyped up, like, kind of thing. He handed it over, but he didn't hand it over with care, and that's coming after what had happened. And that's coming after what had happened in the match itself. Joe just seeing this all as a huge sign of disrespect, bubbling up with security on gone out with Joe reminding Hammond that he never beats him. A year and a half ago, Joe was champion and Page was too dead set on stopping Swerve to be truly focused. After the break, Hangman's backstage, very confused. Yeah, I never did beat you, so let's write that. Let's have a match. Let's give you an opportunity. Let's have a match at Wrestle Dream. Samoa Joe still winning all hot, obviously accepted. we got a match. It's just incredible that Samoa Joe is just such a legitimate character. You can have him just in the ops stuff, and then within one segment, he's heated up title contender. It reminds me a little bit in terms of like the escalation being so quick. It reminds me a bit of the CM Punk Eddie Kingston stuff, where for me that's my absolute favourite quick feud, where it's like 2 weeks long, something like that. It's like incident A happens, incident B is the response, match. Don't need to be any more complicated than that sometimes. A thing happens, I want to settle it. Okay, let's settle it. End of story. Not every story has to be this huge grand epic that's told over a really long period of time. Sometimes you can do Eddie Kingston CM Punk and it's gold. It's perfect. Just having these two guys who would normally respect each other completely bubble over and then sort it out by having a match. Yeah, I love it. I love the idea. Tony Storm versus Tay Mello back in Hollywood, Florida. Tony wrestling Tay right after the Brazilian was with Anna Jay announcing their interest in the tag titles on Collision. In singles wrestling, there was always one winner though. Even if Mello's corner pump kick is looking awesome. Storm 0 for the win, but it's what came after that was a real conversation point. A great Tony Storm promo that had the internet instantly turn on Hollywood, Florida as they chanted "what" at every pause for a Tony Storm promo. Like a character you are actually invested in. This is something that I used to have to talk about all the time when covering WWE shows, where the characters would be giving their speech, they would be trying to get you invested in their characters, and the fans would just be doing their own thing, being like, yeah, you go to wrestling shows, you do your chants, that's what you do when you go to a wrestling show. AEW was more about trying to actually get you invested in what they're doing, so you're not drifting off doing your own thing, you're actually being entertained by the actual product rather than, I guess, the environment and yourselves. But the watching getting over to its degree in, I guess, like the 2010s and that lot, happened during a product which wasn't good enough to keep you invested, so you started doing your own shit. This is the aftermath of that. Modern day WWE has kind of nurtured it into trying to make it more of a sign of, look, the fans are making noise, but they are still invested in the actual characters now, compared to before where they were doing the chance things because they weren't invested. It's like, no, this is what you do at a WWE show. Unfortunately, because WWE kind of just control how wrestling is for so long, we are in the aftermath of that, and unfortunately that blows over into AEW, which is a product which you can get invested in, so you don't need to do shit like that. However, it's just like crowd conditioning. It's going to take time to condition them out of it. But the crowd were cheering and back in the flow once Tony Storm directly challenged Chris Statlander, but that wasn't enough to draw away the internet's ire. There's a strong sentiment of keep that shit in the other place, and there have been a few flashpoints already in AEW's history where I thought those chants had been shamed out of the company, like Eddie Kingston directly telling them to shut up when he's trying to get into a serious mental health promo. But give it enough time and they pipe back up again. It's my own point. WWE controlled the crowd language and beats for years. It makes sense it'll take years to uncondition that response. So every now and then, this will just happen. AEW fans will get pissed, you won't see it happen for a bit, and then it'll just happen again, because it's part of the wrestling vocabulary, and it has been for a long time. It will just take time for it to stop being that. Case of Agony versus The Swirl. Christian and Johnson already in the ring. Did they lose all their money too? The pre-main event slot to give to lower, but growing tag teams had had a moment to shine. Cheeky Ricochet in commentary, and a moment later, Johnson was getting spiked by the big boys. After the match, Blake Christensen was held for the dickhead to hit his running forearm with the spirit gun. We hurt people. MVP had a couple of questions real quick, playing the local lad cheap pops. I can't complain about the area code bit where he just seems a bit, are you from this area? Do you know this area code? What about the 5505? It's like, yeah. I can't complain about that bit after my friends were asking if I'd seen Gabe Kidd with the 0115 Nottingham area code tattooed on his fingers. Like, we had our bit. Literally not that long ago. I was being like, yeah, there's a guy on the TV with 0115 on his fingers. Like, so I can't complain about MVP's bit. Yeah, MVP doesn't want to wrestle, he wants a fight, asking for a no disqualification street fight next week, getting Taz to pop as Ricochet caught the mic that was lobbed from the stage to him in the ring, and they accepted for next week. Also good on Ricochet to make such a great catch and then go back to stay in character and deliver it exactly how he was going to anyway, not going like, yeah, I'm cool, I made a cool catch. I would have broken. Main event, Darby Allin and Chris Statlander versus Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir. Before the main event, Stat was interviewed by Renee to accept Tony Storm's challenge. The match was just a constant run of brawling chaos on minute one, no hokey mixed tag fun in this one. Classic Darby Allin just cannot stay put and wait in the ring for his opponent. They're the Death Riders, they've got their cool moody entrance to do. Instead starting out with a whole crowd brawly bit, and it was Statlander who made the dive. Only a 6-foot drop, but still counts. Don't worry, a minute later Darby was diving through the ropes right onto a chair like the usual madman he is, bleeding with a bit of back blood thanks to it for the rest of the match. Returned from break to a pile of chairs in the ring, and that back blood made Yuta's German to the wee man onto it get an even bigger reaction. A unique spot with Darby Darby putting Wheeler's arm into the ring post. The thumbtacks poured out by Yuta after finally broke us into the intergender offense. And the craziest TV spot was Stat driving Shafia's bare feet into the tacks with a close-up shot and all. It's like, oh yes, oh, this is AEW isn't the PG place. Before Wheeler's powder spot backfired into Marina's face and wrestling hokey logic as she was blind, going off instinct as she accidentally choked out her own teammate. You know, the only hairy man with the big hairy beard and doing a choke which puts your arm into the hair of the beard. She'd be choking them, going like, oh, Chris Statlander's, she got facial hair. I don't remember having what's happened to Chris? Coffin drop for the win and we go off air all happy. In a different company, maybe. That's not where we are. Here, Toni Storm came out and her and Statlander shared a smile before brawling to the back. Then Allin ignited a whipping on Yuta and immediately paid for it. Pac stopped him, wrapped the belt around Darby's neck and pulled back on it as Mox cut a promo into his face. And the camera angle looking up at Pac was just so perfect as Mox was delivering that message. And that message was such a great way to put the match and his opponent over. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but at WrestleDream, for the first time, I'm going to make you say I quit. Just have such a great way to just get over the fact being like, you're going to be so difficult to kill. Me, the badass, I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to kill you, but I am going to kill you. It's just such a great way to get just the entire thing over. And that was the end of the anniversary special. A very enjoyable show that for me absolutely flew by, especially that first hour with the 6-man tag and the TNT Championship match. Absolutely flew by. So then when I found out it was a 2.5 hour show special, I was like, oh, I didn't even realise, because I just enjoyed that first hour so much. I just didn't clock how much time it was, and maybe that extra 30 minutes meant that they were able to not have to like rush anything and give everything all its time. I've talked about how the 2 hours is the absolute perfect time for pro wrestling, but here I very much enjoyed the 2.5 hour show. It felt absolutely right. Maybe not every week. Like we were talking about the shows last week where it's like we're setting things up. We don't need all the matches here to be super long, but here just having 2 matches and just really letting them breathe, it really worked for the show. And so all the applause and congratulations on 6 years. Fuck, 6 years. Fuck, that means it's been 10 years. Just the ripple effects. Oh god, no. Anyway, let's curtail that and stay positive by jumping over to Lakeland, Florida. I'm assuming because the Americans are really inventive that that's some land with a lake in it. I'm gonna take a punt. Take a wild punt. And we're over here for Collision. So let's jump on over, starting with the Death Riders versus a team of Jay Lethal, Adam Priest and Tommy Billington. A certainly unique team for the Riders to beat up this week. Not that Mox minds, he'll bite anybody. The Goodies got their moment of fire, but Lethal's elbow drop during it got caught in a choke and his 2 teammates dragged to the outside for Claudio, leaving poor Jay all on his lonesome. An attempted lethal injection, but the handspring was caught into another choke from Mox and backed into the corner for Danny Garcia to finish the job. After the match, Matt Menard shouting in Garcia's ear at ringside, till the new rider had enough and grabbed the mic to call poor Menard a loser. He's with winners now, and he's going to be a winner too. Pointed at McGuinness, saying, if I stayed around you, I was going to end up like that parasite over there, with a hilarious cut to Mox on the apron going, damn. Like that, like even for him, that was a bit much. It's like, oh no, like Moxley, like, I mean, I wouldn't have said that about McGuinness, like, but damn, that's how you really feel. But in terms of Papa Mox just being a good dad, he's like, you know what, for me that was too far, but you, Danny, because I'm being a good dad, I'm going to let you just run with that. It's clearly working for you. He's just a good dad. Backstage bits. The Waynes backstage with Nick getting a medical checkup. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling amazing. I'll be back any day now. Confidence blocked by, you're still swollen, it'll be 6 to 8 weeks. And not received well at all by the family, calling the doctor a hack and going to find a real doctor. Max Caster's backstage interview interrupted by Big Bill and Brian Keith. Anthony Bowen's also doing the plaque gimmick to outshine Max. They set up a Wii tag match for next week. Like, you two can't even team together. How are you going to team against us? Yeah, Brian Keith, you get them. Dalton Castle and the Outrunners got a celebratory backstage interview after last week's successful debut. Dalton thinking they've made a mistake by being too good last week. Dalton feeling the pressure, but the muscle freaks lifted him up. Never mind, I think I'm in safe hands. I thought Dalton's performance here was brilliant. It's just so dramatic and over the top. This is absolutely the right act to be doing it with as well. It fits into my wrestling bollocks kind of stuff, but yeah, if he's being so over the top dramatic, I'm all for it. Also, it reminded me of Black Books, where Bill Bailey and Dylan Moen accidentally, I can't remember the character's name, it's Manny? Bill Bailey was Manny? It aired over 20 years ago. I don't remember the characters' names, but there's a scene where they write a children's book and they spend all day writing the children's book. A friend was like, oh, you'll never be able to do this. And they actually did it, they finished it properly, and then they realised, oh no, this book is too good. Yes, we need to burn it for the good of the world. We need to burn this book. And that's what Dalton Castle's performance reminded me of. It really reminded me of Manny, played by Bill Bailey in Black Books. We gave the best wrestling performance. How are we going to top it? No, we need to go back. We need to burn it for the good of wrestling. we can't be setting a bar that high. I just really like the breakdown there. Anna Jay versus Jamie Hayter. Fresh off of getting to announce Blood and Guts last week, Hayter got the same booking as Toni Storm, facing one of the tag-declared TJ in a singles match. Returned from the ad break in very Jamie Hayter fashion, with two just striking each other in the middle of the ring. Before that, 70s woman hit one great-looking German and took way too long to wind up the Haterade. Like, so long that the crowd went from, oh, and past it into a couple of seconds of awkward extra beat. Just like, oh, 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 she's been dodged. Of course she's been dodged. Of course she has. Anna Jay with a lovely blockbuster but a snap Haterade with no hesitation to close behind her for the win on the second try. A respectful shake of hands after, with Anna bleeding a little bit of noseblood, assuming the snap clothesline bonked her. Later in the show, Hayter set to be interviewed with Queen Almanata when surprise attack from the front. Habits die hard, with a women's interview segment ending in a baddie jump backstage beat up, Triangle of Madness, saying their name in unison, delivering the fists. That's what we should do. At the end of the podcast, I should just go, social suplex. Just to remind you. And then I'll be off. I'm not saying my singles brand. Tekla wasn't sat there going, toxic spider. Oh, she bloody should have. She wasn't doing that. It was Triangle of Madness. It's not less it felt less corny as I did it. It's still corny. The faction de Ingo Bernabé versus Shane Stetson and Cha-Cha Charlie. Absolute top tier jobber gimmick in the form of Cha-Cha Charlie. Russian Sammy Guevara got a wee moment to toss about and kick the shit out of the two poor lads, with Jalisco applauding from ringside. No elbow pads, wrist guards or tape, just left Sammy feeling like a very naked man. It's weird what parts of missing from a wrestler's gear just make them feel super naked. He's basically there in his underpants and boots, but the thing that makes him feel naked is nothing on his arms. That's the bit that got me. Mess with the bull, you get two knees to the back of your head. Rush then took the piss, teasing a tag to Guevara, who hit the most unique swanton, it looked like he was generally meaning to, where he was trying to land on the flat of his back, or onto his opponent. My instinct was, oh, that looked great, and it kind of looked like he meant it, like he'd been trying to do that so he can do it properly without hurting the opponent. But I don't know what I'm talking about, and Nigel McGuinness winced. So you know what? Maybe I'll go off of Big Nigel's reaction. After the bell, Eddie Kingston and Hook immediately came out to swiftly transition into his match with Jalisco. So shall we. Eddie Kingston versus Jalisco. Sammy Guevara on commentary for the match, referring to himself as everyone's favourite pillar. Remembering how much I've missed Eddie when he tossed the luchador to the outside and then immediately grabbed his crotch to mime suck these nuts. The New York fellow are so good at getting the crowd to chant his name in support. During the ad break, Jalisco did his own These Nuts spot, but up on the barricade facing the crowd away from the hard cam, and the ringside camera was focusing on Eddie standing in the ring. A rapid flash after returning, Jalisco missed a spin kick and Kingston rocked with the spinning elbow. Honestly, Kingston's best performance, maybe this is his case of just getting his reps back in, because it's been quite a long time, and as Kingston gets his reps back in, he'll get back to the same or similar, how close to-ish Kingston ways. MXM TV, I love their gimmick. I love everything. You probably tell that I'm somebody who doesn't look down on wrestling bollocks. I love wrestling bollocks. I love when it's silly nonsense. They were out to issue a challenge. Mansoor with a mic, as I suddenly realised he's got mannequin hands pretending to pull his hoodie open. Like a very unique get-up. Calling the trio's match the first MXM TV casting call. Announcing lady with the cheap clothes, let us know who we're beating tonight. When out come Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander, and El Clone. The hacker glitch sound still playing over Fletcher's music. For our second match in a row with a topless luchador just standing watching from ringside. How do you double book that? I don't know. Somehow it happened. This was over very quickly. Not long before we were flowing fast. Then poor Mansoor ate all the shit. German off the top in a full rotation for him. Right into Takeshita's impressive deadlift German and Alexander to package pile drive him. The sheer drop brainbuster after. Just a cruel final note to an already dead man. Fair to say, message sent, and also excuse given for why the whole Duncan family was there after the main event. Dex Harwood versus Kevin Knight. Knight and Speedball with Willow Nightingale in their corner in a wee taster of her counter to Stokely's presence. A wee dance before the bell as FDR hadn't announced which one of them had accepted the challenge challenge. Faked out it being the other man so Dax could jump him. The fans chanted bold at Dax. How do we feel about proxy bold chants? Should they just be reserved for Ricochet, or is every bold man game for it? Is it suddenly just a chant you can do at every bold person? Howard went to make a statement with a power driver on the apron, but it cost him as he instead got flipped onto his back, and his attempted powerbomb to the outside also got stopped with both lads spilling over the barricade into the fans. Eventually back in the ring, both lads on their hands and knees for the doggy headbutt. I probably need a better name for it than that. That's the best way I can explain it. Williams stopped Wheeler interfering. A lovely Wii set up for a Bailey dropkick and moonsault. Stokely in the ring amongst the chaos to just yell at young Kevin, "Don't you dare," before the lad just jumped over the short man with his high flying frog splash for the win. After the match, Stokely angrily prodded Willow, who teased a gut-wrench powerbomb, but FDR grabbed their manager's legs to save him, and out came Megan Bain for the boo baddie beating. As much as I wanted the actual match to be Willow Stokely, and Stokely's terrified of Willow, for me that's what I wanted the dynamic to be. However, it looks like we've got our actual intergender match set up here, as much as I wanted it to be Stokely. They're still building to him getting powerbombed by Willow. It's still going there, but unfortunately there's a Megan Bain in the way now. And face to face, Chris Statlander and Tony Storm. No. Big Stat Daddy's not finished with you. The unique self-appointed monikers continued with Storm calling herself tight-titted Tony. Storm laid on her back, so did Stat. An intimate visual play of them having never faced each other before. As much as I like you, as much as this isn't personal, I'll knock your ass back into black and white. Tony responded, "When I first saw you I said, my God, what a woman," before announcing, "Enough of this gay banter," and rising to her feet to all serious. The title's in Tony's blood, there's nothing more personal, and at Wrestle Dream there's both no one she'd rather lose to, or rather beat. A full-on dramatic dance amping up into a fight, both respectfully wanted. If only it weren't for them dastardly triangles. Tekla, Sky Blue and Julia Hart out to beat them both up. Tekla cut Jabber, and it was Harley Cameron's music that hit so she could make the bright pink boot save. Cal Fletcher would be jealous. A 6-woman tag set for Collision next week. And onto our main event, a male 6-person tag. Hechicero, Lance Archer and Rocky Romero of the Don Callis family versus the conglomeration Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. TV main event Asuka. He makes connections. He takes the pins. He's Rocky Romero. Orange with an, come on, his video still displaying the Adobe error message. Are we actually long-term going for a pop of his video actually eventually playing? Is that a pop we're building towards? A fun enough main event, the novelty of Orange Cassidy being back still strong enough. Started out with O'Reilly technical dancing with Hechicero. Roddy paired with Rocky, and poor Cassidy, he's big enough to handle Lance Archer, right? He's got this. Literally, as I finished typing that, Archer had Orange held up in his arms as he kicked down both Paragon boys. The conglomeration continues to work so great for Cassidy, like his low effort perfectly contrasted with Strong and O'Reilly going full work rate with stiff knees flying. Hechicero and Kyle going at flash speed was a joy. Then it took all 3 goodies to send Lance Archer down. Cassidy awake for the final flow, even going to dive onto Archer as he started to try. Kyle O'Reilly used his friends keeping the other 2 baddies occupied to armbar Rocky for the win. The other Don Callis boys from earlier out to stare down Kyle, with Fletcher holding his TNT Championship high in a "you won tonight, but I retained my title on Wednesday" level of brag. But also we're getting Fletcher versus O'Reilly in a battle of the Kyles. They'll promote it in some way like that. But yeah, a week of celebration for AEW. Collision was closer to our setup show that I was talking about, Dynamite being last week. Collision this week was very much, we had the great matches on Dynamite and with the mini celebration, but the actual, lots of the character building, a lot of those notes being set, that was done on Collision. So yeah, a good week for AEW. I'm just used to when we do a celebration, I'm used to how the other company do it, where it just takes over the show, and almost for a week there is no progress, or they'll do one big thing of progress and try and use the show momentum to try and do one angle, whilst the rest of the show is just reminiscing, going back, nostalgia, all of that stuff. This was we're going to have Kenny Omega mention it, we're going to have the odd wrestler talk about it, but we're just going to have one big video package, and then the rest of the show is just going to be your normal Dynamite, which I really enjoyed. The fact it was 2.5 hours did mean he got more room for the wrestling, and it's going to happen again this Tuesday for Tuesday title times. They've not called it that. Title Tuesday. I just add Tuesday title times. It's just completely mucked it up. I've Mike Wozniak'd it. It's Wrestle O'Clock. That's what it is. Anyway, I'll be back this time next week to talk about Title Tuesday and talk about Collision. What did you think of AEW with their 6-year celebration? Or you like me as well, going, oh God, it's been so long already. Good for you. But also, oh no. I'll be back this time next week to talk about that stuff. So as normal, I say thank you for listening, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated, never take it for granted. Please do listen to all the other shows we've got here on the Social Suplex. And I've not forgotten my bit. I'm going to do the bit. So with that, I bid you adieu. Social Suplex!